A wealthy and secretive world existed behind the closed doors of an exclusive club where young women, by their own desperate choice, were auctioned off to the highest bidder. Among them was Angela, a quiet waitress who had reluctantly joined the bidding in hopes of escaping her life of hardship. Her motivation was simple yet heart-wrenching. Her mother's deteriorating health and overwhelming debts left her no other choice. In that dimly lit, hidden club, every bidder knew that while no one was forced to participate, the stakes were life-changing. If a woman was chosen, she would receive 25% of the final bid, a small fortune that could pay for medical treatment and free her family from debt. That fateful night, the auction began as the women waited nervously backstage. Angela was scheduled to be the fifth to be presented. As she stepped onto the stage under the harsh spotlight, silence fell over the room. The auctioneer's call for bids was met with a flurry of offers, a modest $2 million here, a competitive $3 or $4 million there. Tension built until suddenly, a bid unlike any other shattered the air. $50 million. A tall, shadowed man had spoken. The murmurs that followed were incredulous. Madame Lucy, the flamboyant overseer of the club, looked both stunned and delighted. The mysterious bidder, identified only as Mr. Hayes, made it clear he wanted Angela. In that moment, her life was sealed. Soon after, Angela was led out of the club and into a sleek black car. She tried to steady her racing heart, but the moment she realized she was not alone in the back seat, she felt a chill. Seated opposite her was Raphael Hayes, the man who had spent $50 million on her. His expression was unreadable and cold as he declared in a low, measured tone, "From now on, you belong to me. You will never return to your old life." Angela's heart pounded, not only at the price that had been paid for her, but also at the stark finality in his voice. Raphael's mansion was as imposing as his reputation. Located in a luxurious New York neighborhood, it was there that Angela was introduced to his family. Almost immediately, tension and disdain were palpable. His mother, Olivia, and his sister, Rachel, could not hide their disapproval. $50 million for this girl? Olivia scolded, her eyes brimming with sympathy and anger. Rachel echoed the sentiment, reminding everyone that Angela could never replace Allison, Raphael's late wife. Yet Raphael was unmoved. In his mind, Angela's uncanny resemblance to Allison was the only thing that mattered. "She looks exactly like her," he insisted, "and that is why I bought her." It was not just about money. It was about reclaiming a lost love and restoring a family broken by grief. Despite the family's hostility, the emotional response of Raphael's children was startling. When Angela was brought into the living room, the children, Ariana and Kim, leaped into Raphael's arms, mistaking her for the mother they had lost. Their tearful declarations, "Mommy, we thought you were gone forever," filled the room with both warmth and heartache. Angela, overwhelmed by the children's affection and the weight of her new role, felt a mix of sorrow and responsibility. It was a life she had never chosen, yet one she was now compelled to embrace. In the days that followed, Angela settled into a routine that was as surreal as it was painful. Forced to live in the shadow of Allison's memory, she was assigned the very room where the late wife once slept. Each night, the sight of Allison's photograph, a striking image of a woman whose eyes and features mirrored Angela's own, reminded her of the impossible expectations placed upon her. At breakfast, the tension would rise again when Olivia and Rachel reminded her that she would never be Allison. Even the simplest moments, like trying a new dish, turned into trials. One morning, while reaching for a plate of shrimp, a food that had once been safe for Allison, Angela experienced a severe allergic reaction. The ensuing chaos, with accusations of theft and violence erupting among the household staff, only deepened her isolation and uncertainty. Security guards eventually dragged her from the mansion, and in the stormy night that followed, with thunder rolling overhead and no belongings in hand, Angela found herself forced to leave behind the only life she had ever known. As Angela staggered along the rain-soaked streets, memories and fragmented dreams began to haunt her. In a sudden moment, flashbacks of a car crash, a truck colliding with a smaller vehicle, an explosion, and the terrifying chaos of that moment overwhelmed her senses. The vividness of the memory was so intense that she fainted right there on the pavement. When she awoke, it was in a hospital bed, and 4 dripped steadily into her arm, and Samantha, a gentle woman claiming to be her adoptive mother, sat beside her in tearful vigil. The familiar concern in Samantha's eyes made Angela murmur, "Mom, are you okay?" Yet, before she could gather her thoughts, the hospital room door opened, and in walked a doctor followed by Raphael. The sight of him filled Angela with a tumult of conflicting emotions. "Why are you here?" she demanded, her voice trembling. "If you're just here to call me Agatha again, I'm not your dead wife." The confrontation that ensued revealed a truth that shattered Angela's understanding of her own identity. Samantha's hands shook as she confessed that Angela was not merely a random girl bought at an auction. Instead, she was Agatha Hayes, Raphael's long-lost wife, presumed dead after a car accident that had claimed her life. In a painful confession, Samantha admitted that Agatha had survived that terrible crash but had suffered from severe amnesia. To protect her, and perhaps for darker, convoluted reasons involving family feuds and a desire for revenge, Samantha's own sister had orchestrated a deceitful plan. They had faked Agatha's death, burying the body of another victim in her place, while hiding the true Agatha away. Angela's life, as she knew it, was built on lies. Raphael's reaction was one of raw, unfiltered emotion. Overwhelmed by relief and a rekindled love, he knelt by her bedside, confessing, "I always hoped you were alive. I missed you so much." His words, laced with both sorrow and joy, pierced through the confusion swirling in Agatha's mind. The doctor cautioned that the revelations were too much for her fragile state, urging a gradual reintroduction of her past. Yet, as Agatha's memories began to resurface in fragments, images of a loving family, of shared laughter, and of promises made, the truth became undeniable. She remembered a time when she was part of a happy family, a man who adored her and 2 children who called her mommy. In the days that followed her recovery, the facade that had been built around Angela crumbled, revealing Agatha Hayes, the real wife of Raphael, separated from him by fate and a cruel twist of destiny. The full truth was slowly unraveled by the investigation into the car crash. Evidence emerged that the body thought to be Agatha was not hers, and the horrific secret of a switched identity came to light. Samantha's remorse was palpable as she admitted the terrible secret, explaining that she had hidden Agatha out of guilt and coercion, manipulated by her own sister's bitter vendetta against Raphael's family. With her true identity restored, Agatha faced the monumental task of reuniting with a family that had both rejected and yearned for her. Raphael, determined and resolute, embraced her as though reclaiming a lost part of himself. The children, who had once mistaken her for a stranger, now celebrated the return of their real mother. In a heartwarming moment by the backyard pool, Raphael casually proposed a fresh start. "What do you think about moving overseas? I'm serious about leaving this place for good." Agatha, her eyes glistening with both hope and lingering pain, agreed. "I can't bear the thought of losing you again," she whispered. "Wherever you go, I'll follow. I won't leave you or the children." Their embrace was a promise, a pledge to leave behind a past filled with deceit, heartache, and misunderstanding. The process of rebuilding was neither swift nor easy. Months were spent obtaining new documents, healing old wounds, and slowly integrating Agatha back into the family she had once been forced to forget. Even as apologies were made and forgiveness was extended, there lingered the memory of the tragic auction and the painful years of separation. Olivia and Rachel, who had once ridiculed Agatha's resemblance to Allison, now came to understand that the woman before them was not a replacement but the true heart of their family. In tearful reunions at the airport, siblings embraced Agatha with heartfelt apologies for past cruelty. Ariana and Kim, overjoyed at the return of their mother, clung to her with the innocence and love that only children can offer. In one final, poignant scene, as Agatha prepared to board a flight to a new beginning, she caught sight of Samantha standing quietly at a distance. With tears in her eyes, Agatha waved a gentle goodbye to the woman who had once hidden her true self, promising silently that she would forge ahead with her family by her side. Raphael squeezed her hand, his eyes filled with a blend of regret, hope, and unwavering love. Together, they stepped into a future free of the past shadows, a future where Agatha Hayes, no longer defined by a gruesome auction or a mistaken identity, could finally reclaim her rightful place as a wife, a mother, and the heart of a family reborn. Thus, in the quiet aftermath of deception and despair, the Hayes family began to heal. Agatha's journey, from a desperate auction prize to a woman reunited with her loved ones, was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring power of truth, love, and forgiveness. The scars of the past would always remain, but now, with genuine affection and understanding, they were slowly being replaced by hope and the promise of a new beginning.